celebration for these guys. Halfway through their marathon trip, the Hawks have won 3 out of 4. They lit up Vancouver for 9 this afternoon, a record-setting 9-4 victory, and the record came early off the face-off. Brent Sutter finds himself in the open ice. Brent moving in, he shoots, and it dribbles in behind Kirk McLean 8 seconds into the game. The fastest goal in Blackhawks history, and that was just for starters. The rest of this matinee featured Bernie Nicholls. Power play goal at 6:11. 2-0. Wherever Bernie went, the puck was sure to follow. Paul Eisebart set him up here. 4-1 Chicago after 1. And more Bernie. Second period, right in front for the hat trick. The Hawks take a 5-1 lead, and then for the third time in his career, Bernie Nicholls lights the lamp 4 times in a single game. Eisebart, Suter, and Roenick also scored. The Hawks win 9-4 in Vancouver.
Bernie Nicholls, and he's playing as good as ever, Bernie. What is the deal with you this year? You got a good club, and you guys are out to the best start for Chicago for the Blackhawks in 11 years. What's going on?
Well, I think the key thing is we have a good hockey team. You know, when I had the opportunity to sign with Chicago this summer, that was obviously one of the reasons. When you've never won a Stanley Cup, I think obviously your goal is to win it, and I had a great opportunity to sign with Chicago. We always know that they had great goaltending with Eddie Belfort there and a great defense, so they were looking for some offense, and that's where I fed in.
You want to talk about offense? On Sunday, you went nuts. 4 goals, 2 assists versus Vancouver. What was going on there? You guys, everything you seemed to do worked.
Well, it started early. Obviously, Vancouver's got off to a bad start, and for what reasons, you know, we don't know, but we don't really care at this point. But it started right off the bat. Our first shot on goal, like 18 seconds in the game, went in. So from there, it kind of went haywire, and I was fortunate to get in on a few of them myself.
So you're right out front the entire time. Is that where you just like to kind of hover around?
Well, you like to be wherever the puck is, more or less. And, you know, obviously when you have nights like that, the puck seems to follow you around. And it was a night that, you know, after the game, I was wishing we had a couple more periods to play. It was one of those kind of nights.
Now, the Blackhawks always known for a hard-checking, grinding defense, even back in the old Norris days. But they've made some acquisitions over the last couple of seasons, including you, that made a difference, right?
Well, right. Obviously, Chicago felt last year the reason they didn't advance past Toronto was that they were more or less the one offensive line, and that was obviously Jeremy Roenick's line, you know, right. Super hockey player. And they went out and got a couple new players this year, myself included, and I think that adds a little more depth. JR's line's always going to score, and I'm playing right now with Joe Murphy, who's having just a super start, and Paul Eisebart, who's playing very well too. So we're not a one-line hockey team anymore. We have a lot of offense. We got great defense with Chris Chelios and Gary Suter. So we do have the offense there, and obviously people in Chicago aren't really used to that. They're always used to the one-line offense, and now we have a couple, so it makes it very tough.
They're going to be going nuts because you scored the most goals in the National Hockey League. And with this season, it's nice to be talking about hockey instead of that dreaded lockout. But in this short season, getting off to the start you guys have gotten off to, the best in 11 years, means everything, doesn't it?
Well, most definitely. And, you know, we said this before, that the thing about our season is it is short. We're playing every other day, and it can work to your advantage. Obviously, if you're playing well, you want to play every day, and we are playing very well right now. The schedule set up that we played we got 8 out of our first 10 on the road, or 10 out of our first 12 on the road. So obviously to be successful in this league, you got to win on the road, and that was our plan going into it. We felt that if we get off to a great start here, we're going to have, I think, 14 of our last 20 games at home or something, that it was really going to set up well for us at the end. And we've worked hard, and we've played real well this stretch so far. Throughout
the 80s, you were one of the most popular L.A. Kings there possibly could be, but in 5 years now, you've been with 5 clubs. Last year of New Jersey, you were 1 game away from going to your first Stanley Cup. Any thoughts about that now that you finally settled in Chicago?
Well, it was a lot of fun, no question. We had a great hockey team in New Jersey, and they still do, obviously. Like you said, we're 1 goal away from the Stanley Cup Finals, and we played well. Obviously, as a team, we felt that we were still the better team.
There was the goal.
That was the goal right there. Obviously, it was a lucky goal, but lucky goals are part of the game, you know. They worked hard. They had a great season, no question. They deserved to be there. We felt we deserved to be there too, but things just didn't work out.
You deserve all the good things that happened to you, Bernie. You've been out there a long time, and it's great to watch you perform this year.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun.
Bernie Nicholls right here in the skybox. Right now it's time for our prime performance.
Ducks, second period, Tony Amonte. Jeremy Roenick is open, backhander. Chicago up 2-zip. Third period, Eddie Belfour, unbeatable. The glove save. He had 16 of them. Belfour getting the shutout. Chicago wins it 3-zip.
Of Anaheim were hosting the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Ducks with an opportunity to even their record at 5-5 before they headed off on a two-game road trip. First period, scoreless game. Greg Smith puts it on goal. Patrick Poulin off the rebound takes it top shelf. The Blackhawks led 1-0. Then second period, Chicago was holding a 1-0 lead. Jeremy Roenick scored to make it a 2-0 game. And there's the final score. Blackhawks went on to win it by a score of 3-0.
Winning ways with a shutout against the St. Louis Blues last night. Wayne Messmer singing the anthem in St. Louis is like a slap in the face for Hawks management, but the Hawks had the Blues singing the blues on the ice. First period, Jeremy Roenick slides this one over to Bernie Nicholls for the score. Hawks score again before the period runs out. Slow-mo on this Pat Poulin goal. That's a pretty one. The Hawks score 3 more times and skate away with a 5-zip win over St. Louis. The Hawks take the weekend off.
Well, they did great on the trip, but coming home's not been so good for them so far. They're in the third period now at the United Center, getting frozen out by the Calgary Flames. It looks like the Hawks are going to need a big rally to catch these guys tonight. The game began with Michel Goulet getting honored by the UC crowd for his great play throughout his career and with Chicago. And this is how they come to a party at Chicago Stadium. Rich Sutter, Zarley Zalapsky going at it in a scoreless first period. But then in the second, the Flames crank it up. Paul Cruz scores a 3-on-1 after the Hawks got in too deep on the other end. And just a couple of minutes later, Theo Fleury breaks away and beats Belfour to make it 2-zip. That's where it is right now as they play the third period out on the west side. Run up over tonight with all kinds of good stuff, and maybe by July, it'll be a Stanley Cup we're talking about. Even though that's the last thing Daryl Sutter wants to talk about, the Blackhawks have a lot of people dreaming in those terms, and there was more fuel for the fire at the United Center today where the Hawks took on Edmonton. The Oilers are Chicago's favorite whipping boys this year, and Patrick Poulin, one of Chicago's hottest goal scorers. What a move, and then snap it in. 1-0 in the first, and more to come. Second period, Bernie Nicholls behind the net. The one-handed assist to Tony Amonte, who buried it. 2-0 Chicago. Hawks trying for their third straight over the Oilers, who did get a goal from former Hawk Brian Marchment. This made it 2-1. But the Hawks won 4-1 as Jeremy Roenick finally gets into the net for the first time at the United Center. His whole line had been shut out at home until today.
None of us have any goals until tonight in this building, and we've been doing all our damage on the road. It was nice to see that we generated a lot of offense and a lot of excitement for ourselves, for the team, and probably for the fans.
We just kept on banging away, getting to the net, getting shots on him, and sooner or later he broke for us.
Sure did. So the Hawks regain a share of first place in the Central, but even in this short season, Chris Chelios says it's way too soon to get carried away about that.
Yeah, you win 2 or 3 games, you're on first, and you lose 2 or 3, and you're back in, fourth or fifth. So you got to keep things in perspective, and I think we're real happy today, but we got to get back to work tomorrow.
So the Blackhawks win
a week and a half ago, and they wasted no time in throwing him to the Sharks. Sorry, I just couldn't avoid that. The Hawks had to wait in the cage against his former teammates at the United Center tonight, that being the San Jose Sharks. And the Sharks shocked him early. Tom Pearson scoring through Gary Sutter's legs on this play in the first period. Hawks, however, unbeaten at home this year. They came right back in this one. Jeff Shantz out in front. He beats Archer Urbe on this shot. 1-1 at that point. Then the Hawks strike again later on in the third period as Jeremy Roenick's line got going to Tony Amonte in the 2-on-1 break. Hawks led 2-1. They added one more in the period and now have a big lead, 3-2, or 1-goal lead in the third period. Well, the wins began the night.
On Saturday was Jimmy Waite, the ex-San Jose goaler, in net for Chicago. Jeff Norton gets him a lead, 1-0, or gets him behind 1-0. Then in the second, Chris Chelios says hello to Gaetan Duchesne. Gaetan left for the remainder of the game, but the Hawks were too much. Chelios to Christian Ruutu, and the score is 3-2. Okay. Blackhawks have killed off 28 straight power play chances, and once again, we have forgotten to shoot that puck, score that goal. A total of 48 shots in this game. San Jose had 3 in the first period, and as Mr. Science will now remind you, if you don't bake the biscuit, you can't put the biscuit in the basket.
Hockey as the Chicago Blackhawks visit L.A. looking for their 8th straight road win. Would it be number 9 over the Kings? Well, Bernie Nicholls said, yeah, how about it? He's a former King. First period, the Kings leading 1-0. And he tees it up against former teammate Kelly Rudy. His 8th of the year. We're tied at 1 later on in the first. We're tied at 2. Chicago on the power play. Bernie Nicholls, there he is. Chris Chelios gets the shot. It's deflected. Nicholls with a score. Hawks led 3-2. It was 4-2 after 1 second period. More Nicholls. He skates it in. He walks it in, and he powers it again. He goes 5-hole this time on Grant Fuhr. That was a hat trick already. The final, the defensive-minded Kings lose this one 8-4, and Nicholls, well, he ended on 4s. 4 goals scored for the 2nd time this year, and that was the 4th time in his career. It was the flame over the oil.
This the Eddie Belfour Testimonial Hour. The Blackhawks backstop is always the man of the hour when Anaheim comes to town because Belfour almost always pitches a shutout. If it sounds like a duck, Eddie is ready. He'd shut out Anaheim 3 times in 6 career starts before today, and offensive support early from Jeremy Roenick. Power play goal at 4:09 of the first. The Hawks very methodical about this. A goal in each period. Joe Murphy got his in the 2nd stanza, and then Ruutu with an empty netter in the 3rd, but Belfour was the star. Couple of tough saves en route to his league-leading 4th shutout. Hawks come home, get a 3-0 win. Good special teams today.
Well, that's been the story of our season so far. I mean, our power play has been very good, and our penalty killing's increasingly getting better. So it's a key to a winning team. I think playing on the road and good specialty teams are why you win hockey games and why you win championships.
We got frustrated up there, and tonight we just stayed patient, like you said, and chipped away at it, and finally, they went in for us. And I think we knew when we got up on them, they weren't going to come back.
As for Belfour, he's now 6-1 against the Ducks with a goals against average of 1.13. He didn't play in the Hawks' loss last week in Anaheim, but his teammates wanted him out there today.
He played great tonight, and I was glad to see him shut him out. You know, they play a real difficult system of play, and I think in fairness to us, we were pretty tired up there the other night, and tonight we're a little fresher, and we were able to play as well as we could tonight to win.
Well, hottest ticket in town, the Blackhawks, 2 teams leading their divisions. You can't ask for a better matchup than that, although the Hawks do need to put in a request for a couple of more goals before this night's over. They had a great chance to get one in the first against Calgary. JR, the penalty shot, he went upstairs, didn't get it. Flames bounced back to get a first-period lead. Veta Vitoski got it past Eddie Belfour, 1-0. The Hawks then put on their own rally. 2nd period, they tie it when Sergei Krivokrasov comes in on Trepalov. That made it 1-1. Calgary regained the lead later on when Paul Cruz scored on the deflection, 3-2. But early in the 3rd, the Hawks have just tied it up. It's 3-3 out at the United Center and plenty of time left to play in that one. And Todd Harvey down in Dallas tonight. Blackhawks and Stars doing some negotiating down in Big D. Eddie Belfour gets the night off. Jeff Hackett in goal for Chicago. Dallas lit him up in the first. Russ Courtnall, Mike Donnelly just inside the post. But the Hawks went on the power play just before the end of the period. Bernie Nicholls paid the price but got his 14th goal of the year. They were in the 3rd. It was still 1-1. The Stars' Kevin Hatcher found some room in front of the net and whipped it past Hackett. Early in the 3rd, it's 2-1 Dallas.
Blackhawks really lit up the scoreboard. The visiting Canucks didn't stand a chance. Joe Murphy punches in the rebound here, and it's 1-0 Hawks. Vancouver did a little damage in the first period. Sergio Momesso gets one past Eddie Belfour to tie the game at 1. That's as close as the Canucks got. The Hawks put it in the net 8 more times to win it 9-2. The Hawks play in Winnipeg Sunday afternoon.
Just to Joe Murphy there. 2nd period, 1-0 Chicago. Off the faceoff, watch this. Joe Murphy down the ice. Hits the brakes. See you later, Sandis Ozolinch, and in the net, 2-0 Chicago. Murphy is 14th. Still the 2nd. 3-zip Chicago. Bernie Nicholls in all alone beats Wade Flaherty. His 2nd of the night, 18th on the year. 4-0 Chicago. 3rd period, Craig Janney. Finally, it's his first goal as a Shark. One of the few bright spots for San Jose. Chris Chelios. Great slap pass to Nicholls for the hat trick for Bernie. 18th career hat trick, 3rd this year. Blackhawks win, and they do it easily. And actually, this was a pretty weak hat trick for Nicholls. His previous 2 this season were 4-goal games, so he's slowing down. He has 11 goals in his last 11 games.
Points of the lead in the Western Conference behind Detroit. The Hawks are just about guaranteed to win every time they play Vancouver, outscoring the Canucks 18-6 in 2 games. But it was Gino Ojic who got Vancouver on the board first with a goal off the rebound. After the Hawks tied it up, Bernie Nicholls scores his 20th goal of the season. and that gives the Hawks a 3-1 win. The Hawks have the best on the road team in the league.